We are now heading towards Walney Island Lighthouse, which is just beyond Barrow in Furness, Cumbria. This was never a Trinity House Lighthouse, but I felt compelled to visit because of the principal keeper there was a lovely lady called Peg Braithwaite. On the way you pass through a town called Ulverston, and they have this monument on the top of Hoad Hill. The tower was built in 1851 as a monument to Sir John Barrow, born in Ulverston in 1764. He was a founder member of the Royal Geographical Society and second secretary to the Admiralty. Although the tower is a replica of a lighthouse, it was never intended to be lit, it was just a monument. Under the ownership of Ulverston Town Council, it is run by volunteer lighthouse keepers who open it most Sundays from Easter till October from 1 till 5. The flag flies on Hoad Hill when it is open. Hoad Hill affords glorious views over Morecambe Bay, the Langdales and the Yorkshire Dales. Over the entrance door it says 1850, but that was when the first stone was laid. It was completed in 1851. Walney Island Lighthouse, completed in 1804. The stone lighthouse and its attached cottages were built to replace a smaller wooden lighthouse that was constructed by the Lancaster Quay Commissioners in 1790 to aid in navigation towards the docks at Glasson, close to Lancaster and the River Lune. It contained 3-foot reflectors mounted on a slowly revolving shaft. The reflectors consisted of a concave wooden frame covered with small pieces of mirrored glass. The original lighthouse was destroyed by fire in 1803 and was swiftly replaced by the lighthouse you see today. The lighthouse was designed by engineer E. Dawson. The optical system, as renewed in 1846, was a clockwork-driven rotating array of 4 argand lamps backed by parabolic reflectors, which gave a white flash once a minute. The current tower is 1804, 79 feet high, about 24 metres. Range 23 nautical miles, so roughly 43 kilometres. Characteristic, it's white flash every 15 seconds. The lighthouse saw little change until 1909, when an acetylene gas system was installed. This was again changed in 1953 to a manned electric light and rotation system, still with the 4 reflectors, flashing once every 15 seconds. In 2003, when it was finally automated, Walney was the last manned lighthouse in England. It was also the last to be using a catoptric apparatus. That year the reflectors were replaced by a modern electric light unit.
I say, will you speak quite loudly, because I am a little bit deaf.
Okay. First of all, could you just say your name, please?
Peg Braithwaite.
And where are we at the moment?
Walney Island Lighthouse, Barrow in Furness, Cumbria.
And how on earth did you become a lighthouse keeper?
My father was the assistant keeper. He later became the principal keeper. During the war we were redundant for a short time, but became organised, and we were guiding the convoys down the Irish Sea, we had a telephone at the top of the light, and we got a coded message when to light and when to douse, and when to light and when to douse. And so my sister became the assistant keeper. And after the war, the assistant who had been here now had 5 children, and the house and the wage wasn't big enough to sustain them. And my sister had more years in as assistant, so she was kept on as assistant keeper. And in due course, when my father died, my brother-in-law came on the staff. My sister remained assistant keeper, I think in name only. And when she died, I was promoted from supernumerary to assistant. And when my brother-in-law retired in 1975, I was promoted to PK. And that's how I became a lighthouse keeper.
You're the only woman lighthouse keeper in Britain?
In England, yes.
Well, is there any in Scotland or anywhere?
I've absolutely no idea. I wouldn't be so bold as to say the only one in the UK.
Well, I think you are, to be honest. I've never heard of any other. I feel quite proud being a lighthouse keeper with just 110 of us left. So how is it being the only one?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, being the only one means that I get rather more attention from the media than I know damn well that if I wasn't a lighthouse keeper, I'd never see a cameraman or a newspaper reporter. It would just go on being Mrs. Braithwaite of Acacia Avenue.
So where were you born?
On Peel Island, about 2 miles across the water.
And do you find Walney Island remote?
I don't find it remote as long as I have a telephone and a motor car. It's only when I haven't a car or a telephone that I feel isolated. You can be far more lonely in a city where nobody wants to speak to you.
Yeah. Do you like wildlife then? Stuff out here?
Oh, some of it. I don't like the herring gulls and the lesser black gulls, but I like the rest of the birds very much. I like the terns and the eider ducks, the shell ducks, the mallards, the ring plovers, the oyster catchers, the lapwings, the skylarks, the wagtails. I could go on. I like all of those.
So what do you do apart from bird watching in your spare time?
Oh, I don't bird watch. I'm not a twitcher. I'm just as interested in the general nature, the flowers and the moths are particularly interesting with it being a lighthouse. It attracts them. What are my other interests? Well, in the season I like to go out with my tutu shooting rabbits. Yeah. If the weather's bad, I like to knit. I like to do crosswords. And in the summer I do a fair amount of gardening.
Do you get much time for gardening down here?
Not enough. There aren't enough hours in the day for me. By the time I've been a lighthouse keeper and a housewife and a cook and a dog minder, I don't have enough hours for gardening, but I do manage to. I haven't bought any vegetables apart from potatoes and a few carrots since 1975.
So you've done all your own here?
Put the rest in. I grow tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, raspberries, strawberries, black currants, rhubarb, carrots, onions, spring onions, peas, broad beans, French beans, beetroot, cauliflower, cabbage and sprouts, potatoes.
I'm amazed they grow so close to the sea.
Pardon?
I'm amazed they grow so close to the sea.
Well, you can water your ground with seawater as long as you don't put it on the plants themselves. It won't kill them. One of the best fertilisers there is seaweed.
Yeah. So what do you do for shopping then Do you have to?
I go in once a week and load up. Go up on a Friday and load the back of my estate with whatever I need.
And how far away is the nearest shop?
The nearest shops are 6 miles away.
And that's car once a week?
That's on what they call Vickerstown, halfway up the island.
Yeah.
But my husband goes into town 2 or 3 times a week and shops anything that I might need. And I have a very able, obliging, workaholic assistant, and his wife and 2 small children live next door. And if they go into town, they'll get me anything that I need, just as I will get them anything they might need.
Can you tell me what your working day is like as the keeper?
Well, that depends. If there hadn't been any wind today, we would have been busy painting, but we couldn't paint today because of the wind. It would blow the paint off the brush. We paint the houses and the boundary walls, the outbuildings. My sister and I, when she was alive, used to paint the tower. But the last 3 times it's been painted professionally, twice it's been scaffolded, and the last time they used an electric hoist. My sister and I did it off a bosun's chair.
On the outside?
Yes.
And can I ask you how old you are?
You can ask, but I won't tell you. It's very difficult for a woman to reach the age, what shall we say, the longest years in her life are those between 39 and 40. And after 40, it's from 49 to 50. But I've lived here for over 50 years.
So, do you envisage retiring, or are you going to?
Well, I'll have to. I just can't go on forever. I mean, that's definite. I haven't quite reached my sell-by date, but it's getting very close.
So all these steps, how many in this building?
91 steps.
And you do that daily?
No, we used to do it every day. We used to come up and take the covers off the reflectors and switch on and start the motor, but it's been rewired since then. We used to come up in the morning and switch off and stop the motor and put the covers on, but now we can light up and start the motor from the bottom of the steps. So we come up whenever necessary to clean the windows and reflectors, and once a week to check the optic drive motor and grease the bearings, switch the transformers over. We have 2 transformers and rest one for a week and put the other one on, that sort of thing.
So you're actually on your own generator down here?
No, we're on main supply. We've been on the main supply since 1969, but we have 2 generators for backup, which one of them's been run this morning for 3 or 4 hours. It charges the batteries for the alarm circuit.
Can you explain what this lens is?
They're silver-plated reflectors, about 24 inches diameter, and in front there's 110 watt, 260 watt bulbs with 110 volt supply. That's what the transformers are for. The main supply goes through the transformers and steps it down to 110. It revolves by the drive motor, which has a gearbox at the end and shows 1 flash every 15 seconds, or if you prefer it, 13.5 seconds eclipse, 1.5 seconds flash, and its official distance is 17 miles, but it can on a clear day be seen much further, and in bad visibility you might not be able to see it for half a dozen miles. The reflectors have been resilvered in the last 30 years, and there's only one firm in England that has a vat big enough to replate them.
Now, this is fairly unique because I've never seen this sort of thing before.
Well, the lighthouse was built in 1790, before Barrow became a port. It was built for sugar traders sailing into Glasson Dock from Jamaica, and the lighthouse is owned and administered by the Port of Lancaster Commission, who were a body of men who banded together to arm the merchantmen against the privateers and built the lighthouse on a royal charter which was granted in 1898, and the lighthouse was built and lit by 1790. The Royal Charter was granted in 1788, that's right. It's built of soft white sandstone, which was ferried from Glasson Dock, from the Commissioner's own quarry, and towed from Glasson Dock by schooners in flat-bottom barges. Some of the sandstone blocks are 6 foot by 6 foot. The tower, as each block was put in place, dowelled together with molten lead to allow for movement. But the tower doesn't sway, it judders. And although we had an earth tremor a couple of nights ago, he didn't feel it here in the tower.
There was an earth tremor in the area, was there?
Pardon?
There was an earth tremor, you said? How about storms in the winter? What's it like there then?
Well, the storms in the winter are in grave danger of cutting the island in two. There's very little of the land showing when there's a big tide and a high wind. You get a force 10 gale and a 30-foot tide, it becomes a 36-foot tide.
Yeah. So what do you do in the winter? Sort of batten down the hatches and...
Well, what does anybody do in the winter apart from taking the dogs for a walk? And inside work, you can't do very much outside.
This is one of the few lighthouses left that must, you'll be able to see the ships that you're looking after.
Well, I suppose so.
Do you get much sea traffic go past?
No, the most sea traffic at the moment is they're putting a gas pipe across the island, and some of the supply ships are going in and out, and some of the work craft are coming to Peel and into Barrow for supplies.
And this place you said was in the 1700s?
Pardon?
This lighthouse was built in the 1700s?
1790.
So keepers used to be here with their families, I think?
Well, originally it wasn't manned. They hired a farmhand to light the light. But if the cows wanted milking when the tower wanted lighting, well, the cows got milked and it wasn't very satisfactory, so they engaged one keeper. And one keeper wasn't enough, so they employed a second keeper. And both families lived in one house, but it wasn't very satisfactory, so they built a second cottage. Originally it was on argon burner lamps, and then it went on to paraffin lamps with soft wicks, and then on to paraffin lamps with wicks and mantles, and then on to acetylene gas, and from acetylene gas to homemade electricity, and from homemade electricity to the mains.